Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Rachel, and if you're not subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe before you leave. So today I'm going to be talking about some spring must-have makeup products for me, and these are the products that I'm really excited to use in the springtime. It is finally beginning to warm up near me, and I'm finally feeling the spring weather, so I thought it would be a great time to share these products with you. So starting off with base products, I feel like the warmer season is usually associated with more natural finished makeup and more glowy skin, and during the summertime, I can't really go along with that trend just because my skin is so oily. It will basically become a grease ball if I put anything glowy on it, but spring is the perfect time for me to do it because it's not too warm yet where my oily skin starts to repel any base makeup I put on it. So starting off with primers, I really enjoy using a glowy primer underneath my foundation, or I like to mix it in with my foundation to give some of my more matte foundations a more luminous glow. So the first product I want to mention is my Physicians Formula Spotlight Illuminating Primer. This definitely has more of a liquid illuminator kind of glow to it. So if you have really oily skin, you might not enjoy this product quite as much. I definitely have to wear a more mattifying primer with this if I mix it in with my foundation. And then a really nice natural finish foundation that I really enjoy is the Healthy Foundation from Physicians Formula. I do find this has more of a satin kind of finish. I don't find it to be very glowy on its own. It has definitely more of a natural satin finish, which I like because then as my oils start to break through, it looks a lot more natural and glowy. The coverage is definitely more of a medium coverage. I wouldn't say this is full at all, so it looks really natural on the skin, and I feel like I can't even tell I'm wearing foundation when I wear this. I have this shade MW2, which is a pretty close perfect match for my spring tone shade. I probably would have to go up a few shades if I was going to wear this in the summertime. I haven't worn this in the summer yet. I purchased this around the fall time last year, so I'm not sure how this will react with my skin in the summer, but I know for the more milder temperatures, this does hold up on my oily skin, so I am excited to be using it this springtime. Now moving on to cheek products, I feel like blush is something I think about when I think of spring. I don't know why. When I think of springtime makeup, I think of really blushy, kind of pink cheek kind of looks. So I wanted to mention two blushes for you guys. The first one is in my Project Pan, and you've definitely seen it on my channel before. And this is the e.l.f. Shy Blush. This blush definitely pulls kind of bright bubblegummy pink, but I find this looks really nice sheared out on the cheeks to give a very youthful kind of glowy look, because this blush does have a little bit of a sheen to it. I'm wearing this on my cheeks right now, and I just feel like it gives my face a lot of life, so I really like wearing this, especially in the springtime, although I have been wearing it all year round since this is in my Project Pan, but this kind of color definitely reminds me of spring. And then the next blush I have to mention is a matte option, and this is the Bomb Beach Blush. I like this. This is more on the peachy nude side of blushes, so this isn't as bright pink, but I do find that I can build this up a little bit on my cheeks. I like this more for more natural looks, so if I'm going for like a more no makeup kind of look in the springtime, then this is the blush I'll reach for, because it definitely looks a lot more natural on my cheeks, but it does give my cheeks a lot of life to it, even though it is a more muted blush. So for bronzers, I definitely prefer a more glowy bronzer in the springtime, but since I'm not super tanned yet, I can't really get away with some of my summer bronzers, which are definitely a lot more warm toned, and those would look crazy on me in the springtime because I'm not super tan yet. But this bronzer I find is a perfect mix of being warm and giving your face life, and also being glowy without looking too warm. And this is the Too Faced Sweet Tea bronzer. This is one of my favorite bronzers. As you can see, there are two shades in this compact, so one is a more neutral shade and then one's a lot more warm, which is why I find that this bronzer can give me that warmth to my skin that I like, but also not be too warm on me. The finish of this bronzer is definitely glowy. It's not a matte bronzer, but I really like it. I find it gives me a more natural glow to my face versus being like a shiny metallic kind of sheen. It definitely looks more natural and lit from within, and also the packaging is just so cute, and like, how does this not make you think of spring? I realize I haven't been swatching things, and I probably should be, so let me just swatch the Shy Blush for you guys. As you can see, it is, oh, please ignore it. I have a stamp on my hand from this weekend when I went out, so ignore that. But as you can see, the Shy Blush from e.l.f. is definitely very sheeny and definitely very bright pink. And that's a swatch of the Bomb Blush underneath the e.l.f. blush. As you can see, the tones are definitely very different from each other, but I do find that both of these blushes add a lot of life to my face, and as you can see, this one's definitely more matte. And then this is the bronzer shade down here. As you can see, it's definitely a more warmer bronzer, but it's not too warm. It's definitely a warm neutral bronzer, and you can see that there is a little bit of sheen in this bronzer, so it does give you a really beautiful glow. And lastly, for cheek products, I want to mention one highlighter. I definitely really enjoy a glowy cheek in the springtime, but I like to lean more towards kind of pinky highlighters during this time. I'm not quite sure why. As you'll see throughout the rest of the products I'm going to be sharing with you guys, a lot of them do tend to lean on the pinky side, so I guess I tend to complement that with a more pinky highlighter. So the one I want to mention is the Wet n Wild Blossom Glow. I find that this is a very subtle pink highlighter. Like, it's definitely not a warm tone kind of gold highlighter. Definitely leans pink, but it's not super obvious where like someone with me who's a very yellow undertone, it still looks nice on my skin tone. It doesn't look too pink for it. This is what it looks like in the pan. It has more of that big gelée texture, which I find looks really nice on the skin. It gives a very, very natural sheen to the skin versus being like glittery or something like that. It really melts into the skin to give you that kind of lip from within glow. So there's a swatch of the highlighter up there. As you can see, it has a more neutral base with a slight kind of pinky sheen to it. So moving on to eye products, I first want to mention my NYX Glitter Glue. Although this is a product that I do enjoy all year round because it just intensifies your eyeshadows, I like this especially when it comes to spring and summer because I like to go for more glowy kind of halo eye looks, and I really want to intensify my center lid shade, so I reach for this a lot during this time of year. Now moving on to eyeshadow palettes, the first one I want to mention is one I think just screams spring. I'm not sure if everyone would agree with me, so I think people thought this would be more of a purple palette when it was first released, but this definitely reminds me more of springtime, and that's the ABH Norvina palette. This palette, I know it was released in the wintertime. I'm not sure, is this limited edition? I think it's still for sale right now. But this palette just screams spring to me. Like, just looking at the tones in this palette, there's definitely a lot of like pinky leaning shades, like this shade right here, Wild Child, even Rose Gold and Love definitely lean on the more pinky shade. And I find that these like bronzes here too are a shade that I would like to wear in the springtime. I just find that this palette overall just leans more pinky, purpley, warm tone hues, which is the kind of colors I tend to lean towards in the springtime. So this palette to me is just definitely a springtime palette. Even the packaging just reminds me of spring with this kind of lavendery color on the outside. So I haven't reached for it that much in the wintertime because these aren't the shades I reach for in the winter, but I'm really excited to break this out in the springtime. And then moving on to just some color stories that I enjoy during this time of year. I really like the more dusty pink mauve kind of bronzes around this time of year. So this is my Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette in the shade Palette 02. This one definitely has more rosy tones in it, which I think that's what I was trying to say with dusty mauve pinky shades. This one has more rosy tones in it, and I think more rosy tones when it comes to springtime. I find that it's a more kind of romantic, like feminine, girly kind of neutral to wear in the spring. So like this shade in the middle over here, this is called Shell, I think. Yes, it's called Shell. This is like a matte brown, not sure why it's called that. But this one is more mauve-y, kind of rosy matte, and this bronze over here definitely pulls more rosy as well. So these two swatches right here are the two eyeshadows. This is the more matte mauve rosy shade, and then this one is the more bronzy shade, but definitely has more of a mauve rose reflect to it, which I think is really pretty. So moving on from those kind of cooler pinky nudes, I also really enjoy the more warm tone pinky nudes like rose golds and stuff. So this is the Lorac Unzipped Palette, which you might have seen in my Pan That palette for this year. Not sure if Lorac is cruelty free or not, but I do want to mention this rose gold shade in here, which I'm actually wearing on my lid today, and that's the shade Unbelievable right here. It's definitely a really pretty rose gold shade. So this is the swatch of the rose gold shade. And I find this one definitely pulls a lot more warm than the Natasha Denona one. I'm not sure if it's picking up on camera quite as well as I'd like it to. This one definitely pulls more coppery warm. And then lastly for lip shades, I tend to wear brownie pink nudes like pretty much all year round, so that doesn't really change as much. But come springtime, I definitely like a more glossy lip look, and I want my lips to look plump and full. And the gloss I like to use to achieve that look is the e.l.f. Lip Plumping Gloss in the shade Champagne Glam. This has kind of champagne-y gold reflex in it, and it just makes your lips look really nice and full. It's supposed to be a lip plumping gloss, so it has a little bit of a light cooling effect on it. But this gloss looks really pretty over pretty much any lip color. So those are all the products I have to share with you guys today. Let me know down below what kind of makeup trends and styles you like to wear in the springtime. Do you change up your makeup for the seasons, or do you just stick to one type of makeup look all year? Let me know down below, and what kind of products do you like to use, because I'm always on a search for new products as a makeup lover. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!